Okay, so today we're going to dive into a story that's all about massive scale and this really surprising vulnerability. We're talking about Spanish, one of the most powerful languages on the entire planet. But underneath all that global success, there's a quiet struggle going on. So, how can a language be a global powerhouse and at the same time be fighting for its life in one of its biggest strongholds? Let's get into it. It just sounds impossible, right? I mean, this is a language spoken by hundreds of millions of people, a true giant of culture and communication, and it's genuinely at risk. And what's wild is that this threat isn't happening in some far-off corner of the world. No, it's happening in a country that has one of the largest Spanish-speaking populations on Earth. So, those are the two big questions we're going to tackle here. We'll start by looking at the incredible global power of Spanish. And then we're going to uncover this paradox that's at the very heart of its biggest challenge. First things first, let's just get a sense of the scale we're talking about. Because before you can really understand the problem, you have to appreciate the power. And make no mistake, Spanish isn't just a major language, it is a global force of nature. So just how big are we talking? We'll get this. A 2025 report from the Instituto Cervantes estimates the global Spanish-speaking community to be 635 million people strong. That's just an enormous linguistic footprint stretching across entire continents and cultures. But you know that huge number? It doesn't even tell the whole story. When you actually break it down, you see the vast majority are native speakers or totally proficient. But then you see this other group, almost 50 million people who are actively learning it or have some ability. This isn't some old, static language. It's a living, breathing, growing community. And that growth is a really clear trend. The number of people wanting to learn Spanish has been climbing steadily for more than a decade now. You see it in culture, in business, on the internet. Its presence is just expanding everywhere. All the signs point to a language that's absolutely in its prime. Which brings us right back to that central paradox. If everything we've just seen is true, if Spanish is this thriving, growing, global superpower, then where on earth could it possibly be fighting for its life? Well, the answer is pretty surprising. It's the United States. Yep, because inside the US, a country with more Spanish speakers than Spain itself, the language is up against this unique and really powerful challenge that seriously threatens its future. And this is where the problem becomes just crystal clear. For first-generation immigrants, Spanish use is incredibly high, right around 90%. Now, for their kids, the second generation, it drops, but it's still at 70%. But then look at that drop-off. It's staggering. By the third generation, the grandchildren, only 25% are still speaking the language. It just plummets. So here's the crucial point. While the total number of Spanish speakers in the U.S. keeps going up because of new immigration, the language itself isn't being passed down. You can think of it like a leaky bucket. For every new speaker that arrives, the grandkids of people who arrived a long time ago are losing their connection to that very language. So why is this happening? I mean, this isn't just some natural, gentle fading away. It's the result of really specific, intense pressures that are faced by what we call heritage speakers. Basically, people who grow up learning Spanish at home. Young speakers often face a perfect storm of challenges. First, there's this social stigma, a feeling that Spanish is somehow less than English. Then you've got schools that often just don't have the right kind of programs to support and develop the Spanish they already bring from home. And on top of all that, there's the harsh reality of discrimination and a media landscape that doesn't really show them their language in a positive light very often. Researchers actually have a name for this whole phenomenon. They call it triple bullying, and it's a really powerful idea. Just imagine being a young speaker for a second. First, you're feeling pressure from the dominant English-speaking world around you. Second, maybe a teacher, probably with good intentions, corrects your home dialect, treating it like it's wrong instead of just different. And third, you might even get made fun of by people in your own community for not speaking a perfect, super formal version of Spanish. It's this immense pressure coming at you from all sides. So what's the answer? Well, the solutions are all about creating environments where the language can actually thrive. This means more support for bilingual schools, creating community spaces like clubs and festivals where Spanish is used with pride. It means training teachers to value and build on the language skills kids already have. And finally, it means getting the US, Spain, and Latin America to work together to build a united front. And, this whole fight is about so much more than just grammar and vocabulary. What's really at stake here is the very nature of the language itself and what it means to the people who speak it. This really gets to the heart of it. The stigma, the negative view, often frames that heritage Spanish, the language you speak at home, as something broken or weak or incorrect. But the reality? The reality is that it's a living, breathing, vibrant form of the language. It's the language of family, of emotion, of your very identity. As one of the sources we looked at puts it, heritage Spanish is, quote, not a weaker form, but a living, emotional language transmitted with memory, identity, and belonging. This isn't about defending some lesser version of a language. It's about protecting the one that carries generations of history, personal memories, and a deep, deep sense of belonging.
And ultimately, that just shifts the whole conversation. Keeping your heritage language alive isn't just a nice little educational goal. It's a fundamental human and cultural right. It's the right to express who you are, to connect with your family, and to see your own culture reflected back at you in the language you speak.
And that leaves us with this final question to think about. If this trend continues, Spanish as a global language will of course survive, but what is truly lost when its most intimate, emotional, and familial form starts to fade away in one of its largest communities? What's lost is a vital piece of the memory and identity of the entire Hispanic world.